Dun, 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 dun. All right. Surprise! I am decided to do the Star Wars franchise now because I started to watch the Family Guy Star Wars Blue Harvest, right? I'm sitting there, how do I talk about this? How do I talk about this? We're not talking about the original Star Wars. I'm going to go off on a tangent. I'm just going, you know what? I took it out. I put episode 1 in. I'm just going to start doing the Star Wars movies. Now, a little disclaimer. I already started to record this review. And this time it's directly my fault. Because I started to go off on a tangent about the Sony Spider-Man universe versus the MCU. And a bunch of other topics that weren't Star Wars. And it was like maybe 1/4 of the review was Star Wars. So I'm still trying to stick to Star Wars. Alright? So, Star Wars, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. You see, the real problem with the MCU nowadays no, I'm just kidding. That was a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke, people. It's a joke. You got my mustache? Anyway, so what's the story? It's Star Wars. Star Wars, bitch. Moo, motherfucker. Moo. Yeah, so there's my review. No, I'm just kidding. So, the story is, negotiations between the Republic and the Trade Federation go south, and it leads 2 Jedi to a Gungan, and eventually to Tatooine, to Anakin Skywalker, and then they have to help the Naboo of the Republic fight off the Trade Federation with the help of the Gungans. Alright, sorry, got a little slow. Hold on. Okay. So let's start. I had done all my good, and I went to the bad, positives and my negatives, and then negatives I just went off on a tangent. So we'll start with the positives, and the positives right away are Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. While I don't think his character was necessary, and I'll get to that in the negatives. Maybe he's sort of a missed aspect. I still think it does a good job. Okay. Start off with the good. I think Ewan McGregor does a good job as Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sure, Kenobi is inexperienced here, but he's still learning his Jedi ways. And I think the whole idea of he's going to be a wise master one day, and you sit there and you know it. You just gotta wait for him to get there. Eventually he will. And it's just seeing him young and he can make mistakes. And he has that moment at the end after his master is killed, spoiler alert, where he picks up the lightsaber and he fights off Darth Maul. And he just slices him in half. And he has that moment where now he has become a true Jedi by doing this. I like that. Another aspect I like is the whole look of the film. And while this is 1999 and CGI wasn't the best, I think you can admit the Star Wars film have some of the best CGI, say, except for the special editions of the original trilogy, because I won't go there, but just the look and the scale and the scope of all that you see in the Star Wars world. George Lucas created this world, and in the original trilogy he didn't have the technology to do it. Here he does, and he takes full advantage of it. You see buildings and worlds and lakes and rivers and forests. You have a world above and a world below. You have ships in space. Jedi sword fighting is just massive. And I like that. Definitely a positive. And for what it's worth, the final battle, it's another part of the kind of CGI stuff. The final battle, you switch. You go between this fight, the Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan are fighting Darth Maul. Then you have this fight in space where little Anakin is fighting, and while Anakin's annoying as hell in this movie, he's, it's just a great fighting scene. And you have the Gungans against the droids. You go back and forth, but it's still a great fight scene. Great war scenes, very good. Let's get to the mixed aspect. I have a couple things in the mixed aspect. That's Qui-Gon Jinn. Well, I do like Liam Neeson's portrayal, and I do like the way the character is. I don't think that Qui-Gon Jinn should have been a necessary character. To me, because at least it confused people at first, because, and it's still kind of confusing if you think about it. In Return of the Jedi, Yoda says, that, the Qui-Gon, or Obi-Wan says Yoda trained him, but he's trained by Qui-Gon. And Qui-Gon is never mentioned before this. It's very confusing. I know it is. And it still doesn't make any sense unless you think maybe Yoda finished Obi-Wan's training afterwards. It might make a little bit of sense, but other than that, saying that he was trained by Yoda, no. Also, a mixed aspect. While I do like this character, if I put him in the positives, I would get shit on all day. So I'll put him in the mixed, because I can't put him in the negative, because I don't think he's a negative, and that's Jar Jar Binks. He's in the mixed aspects. I like the character. Was he needed? No, but I do like the character. Simple. Wasn't needed, but I do like the character. Just like Qui-Gon. He wasn't needed, but I do like the character. Now we get on to the negatives. Anakin Skywalker. Oh, I should just say not Anakin Skywalker, but Jake Lloyd. Terrible actor. Terrible. Are you an angel? No, this is pod racing. No, I know you said that, but he was in Jingle All the Way and he was fine. No, he wasn't. He was the same, but he wasn't in the movie that much. Arnold Schwarzenegger was the focus of Jingle All the Way, not Jake Lloyd. Jake Lloyd had just a couple parts within the film, placed at the beginning, middle, and end. That's it. In this movie, he's the focus, basically. And he's right there. It's terrible. Just terrible. Couldn't have found someone else who was better? How many auditions for young Anakin did you do? And you picked this one person? You can't tell me there was anyone worse. You can't tell me that. Because if you do, you're lying out of your ass, George Lucas. Just saying. Another negative. Darth Maul is also a mixed aspect. I guess I should put him in there. I'm going back a little bit, but another mixed aspect is Darth Maul. I like the character, I like the way he is in there. He's not in there very long, and his death is And yes, he come back in the Star Wars, the Clone Wars TV series. I don't count that as canon. I'm not doing that movie. I don't count anything in the Star Wars Clone Wars CGI movie or TV show canon. Anakin cannot train a Padawan when he's not a Jedi Master. And they refused to make him a Jedi Master in Episode 3. He's not a Jedi Master, cannot train a Padawan. Not canon. I don't care what you say. It's not canon. No Jabba the Hutt's kid. No Ahsoka. No Clone Wars. Not canon. Don't care what you say. Not canon. Back to Episode 1 now. Back to the negatives, which I have to say is Padme, at least in this film, she's a negative. I've always sort of liked the kind of twists they did with her. Watching it this time, it really struck me as, why? Why did she have to... I understand she was trying to protect herself. But... So, she needs to have someone to protect her. But she disguises herself as a common person. A common person who, if they were in the way, a common person, no stormtrooper. The stormtrooper is basically trained to kill no matter what. Or not stormtrooper, a droid, my bad. A droid. If a droid has no soul. If you're a civilian in the way, droid will shoot you. She's coming out there looking like a droid. If she was the queen, they would just take her prisoner. But she looks like a regular person. She would die faster than if she was out there as Amidala. I mean, come on, there's common sense here. No one is going to shoot the queen because they need her as a bargaining chip, right? They need her as a prisoner for Darth Sidious. They want her held captive. Some common handmaiden? Dead on sight, for God's sake. They wouldn't care about some stupid handmaiden. They wouldn't blink twice. Roger. Stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Yes, she wants to blend in, but you blend in too much, you die. Okay? It just doesn't make any sense. I'll talk about the Jedi Council. It's not really negative or positive or anything, but this whole thing about they're already starting to build towards Darth Vader in this film. I don't think they needed to do that just yet. I think they could have maintained the kid's innocence in this film. Like, oh, he's a kid we found. He's got this midi-chlorians. We'll get to that. And, and he could be the chosen one. That's great. Train him, you must. Mm-hmm. But no, Yoda, I sense fear in him. I sense. No training. Duo to begin with the training. Just like he did with Luke. But I think they should have just, instead of debating this, they should just went ahead and said, okay, you can train him. I think Qui-Gon dies and Obi-Wan trains him. Without question, without doubts, at least in his first film. And then you go on to the second film, where he slaughters a bunch of sand people mercenarily after his mother died. And then have it get back to the council. And then they start to doubt. And Revenge of the Sith is my favorite of these three trilogy. The first trilogy. Or the prequel trilogy, whatever you call it. But there's problems with it. And it's because they didn't write Anakin right from the beginning. He should have maintained his innocence in the first film. At least that's what I'm saying. And then start to playing... Because when you're a kid, you should have the complete innocence on your side. They should never doubt anything. You look like a kid. They should never doubt that, but they sense things. I get it. But one thing I did like is when he says he has a dream that he comes back and he frees all the slaves. Sort of setting up his vision thing in episode 3, but not really. But all in all, guys, I do sort of enjoy this film. It's not one of the best. It's not the worst. Far from it. But there are problems. So I'm going to go ahead and give Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a 7 out of 10. So what are your thoughts on Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace? In the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And may the Force be with you.